So whenever I go to Oregon, I like to go with my uncle on mushroom hunts. Now that's what the actual term is for when you are looking for mushrooms in the wild. Now, any person who has fine taste in food knows that wild mushrooms are a lot better than the ones that are grown on farms. So my uncle occasionally likes to go on mushroom hunts throughout the year at different times of the season in order to find mushrooms such as morels, boletes, chanterelles. He also goes into the Rocky Mountains and certain camping grounds in order to find these mushrooms. Now you can do a lot of things with mushrooms. You can salt them, pickle them, make shrimp gumbo. No, I'm kidding. I'm not gonna go there. But he likes to pickle them, salt them, dry them, can them, cook them into various foodstuffs. And one of the interesting things that he likes to do is he takes them, he puts them on a blue piece of paper, and he waits overnight. And the spores from the gills depending upon the type, because if they're hedgehog mushrooms, they don't have gills, they have little tubes. But the spores fall down and they create a nice little spore print on the paper, so you can see a sort of outline of the gills and such of the mushroom.
Cool.
Now, when you're trying to identify a mushroom, there are a few factors that you need to take into account. One is odor. If a mushroom smells bad, well, some mushrooms just smell bad. But if you're looking for certain mushrooms, different smells can mean different things about the species you're trying to identify. There's also the texture. A texture of mushroom is very important. For example, artist's conch can have a very woody texture on one side, but can be drawn on the other side. And that leads me to bruising. Some mushrooms bruise a lot like fruit. So, for example, the artist's conch you can actually draw on. I at one point found a bitter bolete which bruised blue, and we got to draw on that a little bit. Although the artist's conch is the one you'll see the most, as being one that is the one you will see as being the easiest to draw upon. I'm talking about mushrooms because I don't think our presentation is here, Mr. Turner.
Oh. So,
it was supposed to be Andrew, with Cyrus' second version.
culinarily.
Mushrooms are very good culinarily.
No, I understand that because, I taught you in 9th grade and I was educated by you, and then you come in with the wonderful collection of mushroom t-shirts. Who first starts commercially growing mushrooms?
Who started commercially?
Yeah.
I have no idea.
So you don't know who was like the first people to eat them?
The first people to eat them were probably pretty old.
So
I know more about I know less. I understand this is go, but I know. I'll get back to how you can identify them. A major misconception with mushrooms is that if you eat one, you're going to die. Now, I'm not saying you should eat every mushroom you find on the ground. That's stupid. You could die. But there are very few species of mushrooms that are actually extremely poisonous.
Death cap.
Yeah, there's death caps, there's destroying angels, there's the psilocides, which is what a lot of people like to refer to as being the ones that cause you to hallucinate, like magic mushroom, stunts, blue legs, liberty caps. Fly amanitas are not hallucinogenic. That depends.
Because if you prepare them a certain way, they are.
If you can soak chanterelles in LSD and make chanterelles, which are perfectly edible, hallucinogenic. But
How do you know this?
I'm interrupting you, but I'm backing you up.
yeah,
Are you saying that there aren't poisonous mushrooms?
no, there are. There are a lot of poison. Mushrooms can have various toxins in them, such as mescaline. Some have psilocin and psilocybin, and there are other ones. I don't have a list on hand, but there are other ones that can severely affect and kill you. But I'm saying that the amount of mushrooms that are actually poisonous is really is a lot lower than most people think. Now, that being said, there are a lot of the amount of edible mushrooms is also pretty low. Most mushrooms are just inedible, meaning that you just can't eat them. It'd be like they're inedible
Eating
in
a
the
rock.
same way that eating Wood is inedible. Wood is not poisonous, but you can't eat it. It will cause you gastrointestinal distress. Now, back to how you identify them. You can identify them by texture. This is not necessarily one of the best methods of identifying them but their species, but identifying how good they are in terms of eating is density. If a mushroom is too dense or isn't dense enough, that can be a sign that you don't want to eat the mushroom because it's not good. It's either it's overdone or it has been what would you say? It has been or it's not mature enough. Now, there's also probably one of the biggest factors is its color. Now, the color of the mushroom can range a lot. So, for example, one of my favorite mushrooms, strawberries and cream, is a sort of mushroom that is white and looks kind of like cream, but after it rains, it exudes this red substance that looks kind of like strawberry jam. Can you bring that? It's a really cool mushroom. Now, and then there's a lot of extraneous sort of identifying factors. For example, some mushrooms are gelatinous on the tops, where they can have this sort of gelatinous coating. Some have this thing called a veil, which extends from the cap to the stalk, which you can identify it by. The destroying angel, which in certain amanitas, which are very poisonous mushrooms, are identified by the fact that they have a small bulb on the bottom of them. And then the final identifying factor is the taste. It's the worst identification factor because usually you want to identify a species so you don't die. But a taste...
Someone had to do it.
But the taste can occasionally help you identify. That's the strawberries and cream mushroom. See, it exudes this sort of red stuff after it rains.
Thank you, whatever website this
It is pretty
is.
disgusting, but it's
also
cool
pretty.
though.
It's also
Awesome.
Another important. So there's taste, but a lot of there. I think it's necessary to understand that a lot of mushroom species, when you're looking for mushrooms, are not worth identifying. And those are called, they're called in some of the books I have, LBMs or LBJs, little brown mushrooms and little brown jobs, where they're about this big, and you could sort through some of them for hours, and they look so similar that they don't matter, and they're so small that eating them really wouldn't matter in the grand scheme of things. Now, oh yeah.
We would go on to those, but that's
Usually, when
Pinterest.
you're mushroom hunting, you're looking for certain varieties. Now, when I'm with my uncle, I look for chanterelles, which are sort of orangish mushrooms with gills extending all the way down through the stalk. We're looking, well, not to the stalk, but they're with rather elongated gills. We're looking for king boletes, which some people call porcinis, ceps, etc. We look for, here's the prince. That is another one we like to look for. We also look for black morels, which look a bit like pine cones. Children are very good at mushroom hunting because mushrooms are low to the ground, and they can be very useful when you're looking for mushrooms which are low to the ground. Unless you're looking for mushrooms that grows on trees, such as oyster mushrooms or chicken in the woods. But
Who named these?
who named these? Well, these are nicknames, not. Oh my gosh. These are nicknames. They're not the actual Latin names. Now, mushrooms are also I consider mushrooms as like half the savior of mankind because of their contributions in the medical industry with penicillin. I would say that mushrooms were one of the initial starting points that made antibiotics a major factor in treating diseases. But they're also really healthy. For example, the beefsteak fungus, which I don't have on, but the beefsteak fungus is an excellent source of vitamin C.
They
Now-
sound delicious.
Yeah. Mushrooms are also very important in serving a role a role in decomposing organisms. Now, most people would think that it's vultures and such that help that help with the decomposition process, but really, scavenger animals, I should say, are usually don't ever really.
They don't eat the dead logs.
They don't eat the logs. It's usually fungi in combination with certain types of bacteria and Now, and occasionally other organisms, but
Usually not vultures.
yeah, usually not vultures. I would be very surprised if I saw one trying to gnaw on a dead log on a log.
I'd film it.
Now, we also look for a mushroom, I don't know if it's up here, called the cauliflower mushroom. And that one's that is a special mushroom because it is excessively hard to find. It is very prized, and usually when you find it, you only find one. And it's about this big, and
Is it orange?
No.
Dang.
It's
Oh.
it's
Well, I
kinda-
prove you wrong.
Kinda.
Ha
I'm used to seeing ones that are more white like that one. But it grow each year. If you ever find one, give it to me. It's worth some money. Give it to me, and then go there once every year, and it'll grow. And there usually one grows back in the same exact spot. Now, mushrooms can be extremely are highly valued in especially wild mushrooms in certain cultures.
And
For
delicate.
example, I know if you find a good-sized white matsutake, you can sell it for up to $25 in certain cities. Yeah, $25. One mushroom for $25. I mean, that truffle you are going to make it. You will get lots of money.
What's so special about a truffle?
A truffle? Well, first they're hard to find, and
They require
taste good.
pigs to find.
Yeah, they taste. Mushroom farming is actually extremely difficult because mushrooms require a very, very specific environment that needs to be heavily regulated. Mm-hmm. I've actually been to a few mushroom festivals, not the kind that you're probably thinking of, Mr. Turner. But
Why?
just saying. But I've been able to tour some of the farms that they grow mushrooms in, and they're very the environment in which they're controlled is very intensively controlled. Yeah.
So I guess, I was wondering whether there were any cultures who kind of had their main food supply coming through mushrooms, or one of them, and maybe one reason that might not be the case is because of that.
Yeah, mushrooms only sometimes, depending upon the location, only really appear at certain times of the year. I know in Oregon, the spring is a really good time, but at other portions of the year, not as much, or in terms of edible mushrooms, not as much. I love a society that relies solely on mushrooms.
Not solely, but, yeah.
Mostly on mushrooms.
Yeah, interesting.
Anyone else have questions?
When you go looking for mushrooms,
Yes.
are you going looking in Maryland? I mean, is that where you're looking?
Maryland is harder to find. Is harder in that respect. I usually only go when I go to Oregon.
It's in Oregon that you're going.
Yeah.
So, okay.
What about the glow-in-the-dark fungus?
The glow in the dark.
I've seen them before.
Oh, yeah.
It was really dark.
They probably are. I'm not. I haven't. I'm not aware of them.
Affected that way.
I don't know, but I just know that that those are the
Psilocybin and
hallucinogenic components within most mushrooms that cause you to hallucinate, and they.
So I have a question for you to test your skills.
Skills?
So, last year, I was in Connecticut in the spring, and the snow had just melted, and we were going hiking. And on the hike, we found a log with bright purple mushrooms on it.
Violet cord. Yeah, that's my best guess. I heard bright purple mushrooms, and I'd probably say violet cord.